Owning a home is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. And when something breaks, it can feel like the whole day unravels. That's why HomeServe exists. For as little as $4.99 a month, you'll always have someone to call. A trusted professional ready to help, bringing peace of mind to 4.5 million homeowners nationwide. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
A text says, "You're on my mind." A bouquet from 1-800-Flowers says, "You're my everything." Heartfelt moments belong in the real world, not just your phone. For 50 years, 1-800-Flowers has helped millions of people make memories that'll last a lifetime with gifts they'll cherish forever. Their expertly curated arrangements and gift baskets ship nationwide with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't wait for the next big moment. Make it when you visit 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
Tina! Bring me the axe!
You're listening to Bring Me the Axe. I'm Brian White. I'm one half of this morbid equation, and I'm joined by my co-host and brother, Dave White. Hey, Dave, how you doing over there?
Oh, thank you for asking. I'm okay. You know, I yesterday went to a German beer festival.
I saw the pictures.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, I have never felt quite so much a part of a stereotype in my life.
You look around and you just see other versions of you just kind of hanging around nervously.
Yeah, it's just like people were a little bit awkward, a lot of beards, middle-aged. There were people approaching middle age. A lot of them had necklaces around their necks with pretzels on them.
What?
I don't know. Apparently, it's a thing.
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting little in-group marker. I wonder what that's about.
I think it's like here's a thing you do at beer festivals.
Were they
selling
pretzel necklaces at the beer fest, or did you have to get them elsewhere?
They sure were, but people brought their own. Some of them had beef jerky on their necklaces as well. It's basically just a snack necklace, a snecklace. If you
is it a real? Wait, hold up. Is this a real pretzel that you could eat?
Yeah.
See, when you said
this, like a rolled gold,
what I saw was like 24 karat gold.
Nope.
Pretzel on a little thing, and then though you said beef jerky, and I was like, how would you make like beef jerky? Like, how would you indicate beef jerky with precious metal? It turns out it was wrong. I was seeing it all wrong in my head.
Yeah, you just gotta nickel plate that beef jerky, just as is.
Preserve it, because like maybe one day you'll be like in a plane crash, and the option is either I crack this nickel plated beef jerky or I eat my friend.
Yep. Or both. Porque no los dos.
You just make beef jerky out of your friend.
Yeah.
Good God.
So that's what I did. That's what I was doing this weekend.
Well, that's all right. I didn't do anything.
Did you go to a play? Didn't you go to a play at some point?
Last week I did.
What was that play?
We went to saw The Outsiders.
The movie?
Play based on the book,
mm-hmm.
which which sprang for Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders.
Is the play as homoerotic as the movie?
Yes.
Glad to hear it.
Yes, it is. And I would say maybe even a little bit more.
Go on.
Yeah. The dynamic between Ponyboy and Johnny, way more explicit in the play.
They kiss?
They don't. But there's moments where it's like a Melissa Etheridge song where there's a deep aching.
That's not healthy.
An aching, a yearning, with language that they just can't say. The only thing
just
you can do
fiery
is
desire.
All he can do is just quote Robert Frost poems and just hope that Johnny picks up on what he's putting down.
No, he does, but by the time he does, it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They killed a Soch and had to hit the road.
They killed Leif Garrett and they had to get the fuck out of there, which is what happens when you kill Leif Garrett. What prompted you to go see this play?
So, it's kind of like a rite of passage for middle schoolers is to read that book.
Oh, right.
So,
Yeah.
It just so happened that the touring show is in Boston at around the same time that they read the book. So they got like a bunch of like heavily discounted tickets.
Nice.
And we make it a point. We kind of go out of our way to sort of provide the kids with like theater and live music and stuff like that. And so we go to a lot of plays actually.
Okay.
And like not just like the local shit that we do at the community theater. Like we'll go down to the city. I swear to God, I've seen Moulin Rouge like 3 times at this point. And
see Cats. You see Phantom of the Opera.
Not seen Cats. I saw Phantom of the Opera, but when we were kids.
Where'd you see it?
We saw it in Toronto.
Goddamn right.
Yeah, it was a good show. What was it recently that we saw? There's a Neil Diamond show called A Beautiful Noise. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, get it, 21st century theater.
Fucking A. Get out there. Most of them are fucking re-adaptations of movies, which is kind of disappointing.
That's a little boring.
Yeah,
At least we're over the jukebox musical craze. I'm glad that's kind of passed.
Yeah.
It's a little boring.
Yeah. A ways back, we went and saw Rent for the first time since we saw it in the city in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, that show is not aged well.
Not even slightly.
It's a very 90s play that was written in the 80s. So
yes. Yep. I would imagine that it is chock full of things that probably seem incomprehensible to most young people.
Such as?
The fact that like these people are all just squatting in these apartments in the Lower East Side and just living for free and making art and dying from a disease that people don't typically die from anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should say that Americans don't typically die from it.
I don't know. We didn't actually talk about it with my daughter afterwards.
Oh, you were like, hey, this show's about AIDS, by the way.
But
you know that?
But also at the same time, like I don't think she really received it because like when we saw it in the 90s when it first came to Boston, like after it, had its kind of like run in New York City, like it was just like, oh boy, what a fucking show, like a real sort of a presentation for a generation. And then we saw it like again just recently, and we're like, boy, this does not really hold up.
I think that was probably the last musical I saw. And that would have been whenever it debuted in New York.
So in the 90s.
Yeah, whenever we saw it during its original run.
Damn.
So yeah,
with Idina Menzel,
yep,
and Anthony Rapp.
Yep.
Oh, fucking who else is in that? Is that the guy from Law and Order?
Guy from Law and Order. Were you thinking of Ice-T?
No, that's Special Victims Unit. He definitely wasn't into it.
Taye Diggs. Yes,
not Taye Diggs. Jesus,
no, not Taye Diggs.
Now you're gonna make me look this up.
Oh, the other one.
Order.
Who's the one who's not Taye Diggs? He's not listening to me. He would know the answer if he was listening to me. Yes, Jesse L. Martin.
Jesse L. Martin. That's yes.
I thought it was Taye Diggs.
Nope. Well, wait.
Aren't they both in it?
I think Taye Diggs plays the smarmy...
The ex-boyfriend.
This
is what people tune into this show for.
I know. This is
90s Broadway talk.
I'm going to have to cut this way down.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
It's fine.
Oh, so we practically grew up in neighborhood visitors. The bottom line, go to the theater, you guys. Get out, go see a show.
See some fucking culture, you plebes. God.
Just...
Philistines, every one of you.
It'll enrich your life. Yeah, we practically grew up in neighborhood video stores, and the steady diet of utter garbage that those shops provided us with continues unabated to this day. And there's no one else I enjoy chopping it up with more about trashy movies than Dave. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod, and Dave's over there at That Queer Wolf.
True.
Give us a follow. Keep up with all the business. We got so much going on.
I do. These days, I'll tell you what, though, I'm a little social media'd out.
I am a little bit. I'm definitely not as enthusiastic about it as I used to be.
It's a lot of It's
a lot of work.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot.
Yeah. That's definitely a reason. Give us a follow. We don't like it, but give us a follow.
Come on now.
Yeah. And if you don't know, we have another show called 99 Cent Rental where we cover all manner of video store madness on the weeks that Bring Me the Axe is off. Our latest episode covering Ninja Terminator is really fucking funny. That's out now with Garfield phone. We'll be back next week with a look at George Romero's Not a Vampire movie, Martin.
Yeah, it was because Taye Diggs was Benny. And Jesse Martin was Angel's boyfriend, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, Angel.
So they are both.
Angel was the street performer.
Yes. But Taye Diggs was not on Law and Order.
No, he was not.
So
he was in the play.
I was just being racist, I guess.
Oh, shit. You can also contact us directly at bringmetheaxepod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a movie that you love. We'd like to hear us give it the business. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can also look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there. All paying members get ad-free episodes. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod, Do You Think I'm Spooky? The latest episode is a look at the season 2 episode, Colony. It's a good one. It's a big conspiracy aliens episode.
Well, that's the first part of the two-parter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There's also our Bring Me the Axe Millennium Edition, which is a bonus episode in which we explore a modern horror movie. Current episode is a look at The Others.
I'll tell you what you're not going to get on Patreon. You're not going to get all this hot Broadway content.
No. You got to go over to Laughing in the Dark to get that shit.
And once you're there, you never know what you're going to get on that show.
It's a real mixed bag. We occasionally talk about Are You Afraid of the Dark, but most of it is us yes-anding whatever nonsense, crazy bullshit that Eileen comes up with.
Pretty much, yeah.
All Patreon subscribers, even the free tier, get access to our Discord server. Paying members get access to additional channels like voice and video chat and the watch parties option. Once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. And hey, can't get away without, can't go on without mentioning it. Listen to Laughing in the Dark.
Oh, please do.
It's our Are You Afraid of the Dark rewatch pod. It's very funny. It's very fucking funny. Oh my God. And it's a quick one. In and out, 40 minutes.
If you're lucky.
Not like this self-indulgent business. We are on point. Yep. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So take a second. Just like right now, look at your phone. Where's the rate this podcast button?
Yeah. You just go to 5. You hit 5. All 5 of them. Give me all 5 of them.
Top 5. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor, give the episode a like and leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. Just want to get that all out of the way right at the top of the show so we can run the trailer. Here we go.
When darkness descends on the city, something happens to the girls who attend night school.
You're not walking home alone tonight, are you? After what happened?
We'll be all right.
Something secret.
Modern man has only to take a short step to wind up in the primeval jungle of his ancestors.
Something forbidding.
Well, we've had a few kooks in Boston in our time, but headhunters, not too many.
Something terrifying.
Who's there?
listen in terror. Night School.
Night School.
I feel like that trailer is a little misleading. It makes them sound like they're going to turn into werewolves. Queer wolves.
Deep cut.
Yeah, well,
I'd never seen this one before.
It's pretty good.
I enjoyed it tremendously. I'll just say it right up top. I liked this movie a lot. I think I go into this one sort of with certain expectations that I could not possibly live up to. I don't know why. I was like, this, I'd never heard of it before. It's a deep cut. My expectation was this is going to be shitty.
It's not.
Like final exam shitty. And then it wasn't.
No. I mean, it is formulaic as hell.
Yeah.
But as shitty it is not. Now, if you will indulge me, I chose this film as a bit of a time to celebrate Boston. I moved here like almost 15 years ago.
Goddamn.
A long time ago. And so I've been kicking around for a while. But I think even before that, it's been like a kind of a big thing in my life and I think our lives in general. It's closest city is where we went on the weekends to see punk and hardcore shows. And so to be moving away from here, I'm a little wistful. And so I thought, what better way to celebrate with one of the very few films that was shot entirely in Boston? And probably for lots of really good reasons. It doesn't seem like a city that lends itself to filmmaking very easily. But this is my favorite era of Boston. This is, we are just coming out of hard urban renewal era. We're just before what was kind of originally referred to as the New Boston, which is kind of this neoliberal remaking of the city. And so it's still got this great charm, this like sleazy, grimy charm. It's got a shitload of character. A lot of the neighborhoods are kind of gone, but that doesn't matter because this takes place in one neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a very fancy neighborhood on top of that.
It is. It was not so fancy at the time. It kind of was. But so this is my favorite era of Boston. So I thought this is a great way to celebrate this city in which I live.
Yep. The combat zone was still the combat zone.
Oh, and yes, it would be for many more years to come.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I think surprised me most about this was how before I say that, the thing is we've done a shitload. I would say like there was a period of time where like every episode of this podcast was 1981 or 1982.
Yeah.
And so like we're right back in the sweet spot. And the thing that we started to notice after a while is because we were doing a lot of slasher movies was the people who were making these kind of also rans, these very obvious cash-ins of slasher movies, could not bring themselves to do a trashy teenage body count movie. A few of them could, and the ones that did sort of deign to approach that subject matter are the ones that we tend to remember the most. But the ones that don't, the really, really weird ones, have this quality that are like, well, I got to be arty about this. I got to be classy. Yeah. And so what it ends up doing is it comes off less like a slasher movie and more like a giallo. Whether they intended that or not.
Or just giallo adjacent with some real weird aspect to it.
Yeah. But the thing that really surprised me about this one is how it seemed to be doing giallo explicitly.
Oh, yeah. No, this is, I don't know how they got away with this movie because the killer in this film, their entire appearance is pretty much based on what have they done to your daughters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's weird is that
the premise is like, we noticed this when we were watching it in the Discord the other night this is a lot like, what have they done? What have you done to Solange?
Mm-hmm. Which is like
without the whole abortion subtext.
Yeah, but in What Have They Done to Your Daughters, it is literally a killer who rides a motorcycle, has the helmet on, and cuts off heads with, I think, a meat cleaver in that movie. Yes, pretty much same. I think it is highly unlikely that the woman who wrote this movie, because this is a film written by a woman, I find it very unlikely that she would have seen that movie.
No, it was punched up by Ken Hughes.
I find it even less likely that he would have seen that movie.
But like the parallels are unmistakable, like to a point where it's like, obviously somebody who made this movie,
maybe they just saw the fucking poster or something.
had seen like some Sergio Martino movies, some Massimo Dellamano movies, because like it is crazy how like just how precisely it nails the giallo thing, right down to the fact that like they make Boston, or they shoot Boston in such a way that like if you were to contextualize this any other way, you could reasonably pass this off as the streets of Rome.
And it is to Boston's credit in this case that it can look very much like a European city for obvious reasons. And so, yeah, if you tried to film this somewhere else, it's not going to look quite the same.
It wouldn't feel the same if they had done this in New York or, Los Angeles or something like that.
And they're filming in one of the oldest parts of the city. They're actually filming in the oldest part of the city. So.
Yeah. So I got a few notes about that a little ways down the page, but yeah.
Oh, I wrestled very much with how much of this history do I go into, because I know a lot about Boston at this time.
Go nuts. I encourage you to fill in those blanks, because being that this is a slasher movie also ran, there's not a whole lot of information that's interesting about it or relevant. So
there's not.
So yeah, the run up is going to be, a little threadbare. And being that this is a sort of a tribute to that city, let's do it.
All right.
Fuck it. So here we go. The year is 1981.
Heard it.
Year of our Lord.
I was there.
So here were some other also ran slasher movies released that year. As it turns out, there were a lot of them.
Yep.
Such as Bloody Moon, Jess Franco's utterly bizarre misunderstanding of Halloween.
It is an extremely strange movie that I also happen to like quite a lot for reasons that I cannot explain.
As we have said on numerous occasions, neither of us can understand the appeal of Jess Franco, and yet we continue to watch his stupid fucking movies.
Every now and then he gets it right, where you're like, same guy, huh?
Yeah.
Weird.
No, not that one, but boy, that's a crazy one. Also in 1981, Final Exam.
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, I guess.
Covered all the way back in the day when this podcast was called The Brothers Grimm. Boy, we really felt bad for Radish in that one.
Yeah.
He's like the only redeeming quality of that film.
He's one of horror's great queers.
Also in 1981, Graduation Day.
I love that movie.
It's only a matter of time before we do that one.
I think it's pretty obvious where my heart lies.
1981?
With these fucking cheap knockoffs, yeah.
Well, how about this one? Hell Night.
I don't love that one, but I do. That was directed by Tom DeSimone, a man who I have interviewed a couple times. I think he's dead now, but wonderful guy. Directed some of the very first, if not the first, gay pornography.
No shit.
To be shown in theaters.
Okay. Yep. It's Linda Blair in a remarkably class-conscious piece of slasher garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And then rounding it out, Nightmare, which is also called, is it Nightmares in a Damaged Brain?
I think so. Something like that.
Yeah. Which is a scuzzy, forgotten slasher made by pornographers that boldly claimed that Tom Savini worked on the special effects when he absolutely did not.
No, but you gotta appreciate the audacity.
You gotta love the hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Severin put that out in a really, really weird, like deluxe package. I bought it.
Yeah, and you're thinking, well, did this really deserve the
4K, the Severin 4K treatment? Because I remember when it came out, it was like extremely limited and very expensive, which is why I didn't order it on site. I actually bought it at Amoeba when we were in Los Angeles.
I mean, I enjoy it. It's trashy. It's real low budge in a way that does not charm. Like it does not endear you to the movie.
What I think what it reminds me of is it's pieces without any of the charm whatsoever.
Yes. Yep. We're like, well, now you're just cutting up ladies, and I don't care for that.
But it has a weird subtext about the killer is motivated by this because like he saw his parents having like rough BDSM sex and was like traumatized by this. That's his entire motivation for murder.
Wow, there was the reason that we have these movies is because the 80s was such fertile ground for this. People were just starting to realize, like, wait a minute, do you mean people have something other than missionary sex?
Yep.
And they don't go immediately to hell?
Right. Some guy goes to the movies and he sees somebody getting spanked and he's like, hold up. What are these feelings I'm having right now?
Yeah, and then he thinks, well, I can work with this. This is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Nightmares. But our cast and crew includes a director named Ken Hughes.
Yep.
In his final feature. Now, not to sound
what a way to go out.
Not to sound shitty about a guy who has 35 directing credits and 50 writing credits to his name, but Hughes' career is mostly unremarkable parade of movies that seem to have been enjoyed in their day, but left no lasting legacies, with one exception maybe, the family musical Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
What a fucking weird one.
I know. When I saw that, I was like, damn, he made that movie? Because like
that movie he made before
80s,
this.
Like in the 80s, one of the local channels ran that like every Thanksgiving, and we watched it every Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like 3 hours long.
And it's fucking stupid. It's a really, really dumb.
It's about
Isn't that the one where like the kidnapped children?
A car with a demonic intelligence.
Yeah. But the movie he made right before this was like some weird
Sextet, the last Mae West movie.
Yeah, and she could like barely walk. And he was like, what could I have done with a woman who couldn't walk, couldn't stand, couldn't talk, and couldn't act anymore?
A lot of sexual innuendo.
Mm-hmm. Come on up and have sex with me sometime.
Yep. So yeah, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, adapted from an Ian Fleming children's novel. Though prolific in the 50s and 60s, Hughes seemed to find nothing but frustration in the public and critical apathy towards his movies, culminating in the production of Cromwell in 1970, starring Richard Harris and Sir Alex Guinness.
Sir, genuine class.
Yep. Alec Guinness in a movie about the English Civil War. The critical success, but critical success, but commercial failure led to him being unable to secure funds to produce his dream project, an adaptation of 10 Days That Shook the World, John Reed's on-the-ground document about the Russian Revolution, V.I. Lenin, and Trotsky.
Jesus.
This guy had high hopes.
Some real highfalutin stuff here.
Yeah. So Hughes directed a handful of features in the 70s, devoting most of his time to writing for television, and closed out his career, as we said, with Sextet in 1977. And then he shut the lights out with this one, displaying a solid understanding of giallo.
Weirdly, yes. But I will add, he is hugely aided in this movie by Mark Irwin.
Yeah, so I've got a little note here, because I looked him up, and I was very surprised, because I didn't recognize his name.
We've talked about him a bunch of times. Mark Irwin worked with David Cronenberg for like the first half of Cronenberg's career.
Right up until The Fly. The Fly was the last movie that he did with Cronenberg.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he's done a million other things since then. He's very talented. He is the standout. This movie is basically, if anything really stands out in this movie, it's cinematography. The music's pretty good. That's about it.
Yeah.
Editing's okay.
Yeah, so the other movies that he worked on, he worked with Wes Craven.
Mm-hmm. He did Scream.
He did Scream, and he did New Nightmare.
Yep.
He also racked up some real wild garbage in the form of the insano Danny Aiello, Jackie Chan buddy cop movie, The Protector.
Ooh.
That's the one that made Jackie Chan like so upset that he went home and was like, I'm going to do this right. And he made Police Story.
That was like his crossover, wasn't it?
Yes. It was one of the, I think it was because he's also in Cannonball Run or Cannonball Run 2. He's in one of those.
I think it's Cannonball Run 2.
Yeah. He also made the fucking strange Dolph Lundgren alien drug dealer movie, I Come in Peace or Dark Angel, depending. I think they can't seem to settle on a title.
Doesn't matter. You're not going to watch it either way.
It's crazy. We will cover that one eventually. There's also the tonal shit show with Lance Henriksen, Man's Best Friend, which we joke about.
I don't know what you're talking about. That movie is incredible.
A movie that we joke about a lot.
Quintessential 90s fare.
Yep. And one of the worst ideas Hollywood has ever had, giving a feature film budget to Tom Green for Freddy Got Fingered.
And people these days, they're like, I don't know. We're rediscovering this classic, to which I say, bitch, stop rediscovering things. Why don't you rediscover rediscover the third man instead? How about that?
You're looking for that, like that viral sensation, going to get them clicks. You can, when you reappraise some movie that other people had dismissed. Freddy got fingered. I will say this: that movie is stupid funny, though.
No, he had a moment.
Yep.
He overplayed his hand for sure, but he had a moment there.
Right. So our cast includes a guy named Leonard Mann, a dude with a fascinating career trajectory. He's an American, but he was discovered by Italian film producer Manolo Bolognini. Bolognini? Did I say that right? I think I said that right. Anyways, while he was out walking one day, Bolognini claimed that he thought Mann looked like Franco Nero.
Could he act like Franco Nero?
I don't think he.
First of all, he doesn't look like Franco Nero either.
Like Franco Nero, but
he definitely can't act like him.
No, the important thing was Nero was one of Italy's like top stars at the time. I think this was around the time that Django came out, and so everybody was looking for their next Django.
That's when he's looking his foxiest. So it makes sense that they're looking for a second.
Yep. As dubious as this is, Mann ended up in numerous also ran spaghetti western, giallo, and polizioteschi with titles like Criminals Attack, The Police Respond, Death Steps in the Dark, and the utterly insane Star Wars ripoff, The Humanoid.
The Humanoid is absolute garbage.
But I like it.
He's also in Cut and Run.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So, yeah. Before returning to the United States for this very movie, before his retirement in 1989, he worked on a handful of other features you've likely seen, with a small part in the salacious V.C. Andrews adaptation Flowers in the Attic. And yeah,
gross and sexy.
so incestuous. And the baffling Ruggero Deodato movie Cut and Run, which I like a lot for reasons I don't think I'm ever going to be able to articulate.
It's got Bible Man in it.
Does, yep. So much cocaine was snorted on that movie. Oh my God. Yep. Upon his retirement, he found a new direction in social work and therapy and is now a vocal advocate for prison reform in California.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Look at you, Leonard Mann, doing good works.
Found his true calling. We've also got Rachel Ward, a descendant of British aristocracy. Yeah. Ward began her career in England as a fashion model before landing some ads for Lincoln Mercury and Revlon. She leveraged this experience toward her appearance in this very movie, her first feature role, along with The Final Terror, which wasn't released until 1983.
And it's terrible.
That's the one with Daryl Hannah also?
Yep.
Joe Pantoliano?
Yep.
I like that one. I think it loses momentum in the ending, but up to that point, it's pretty good. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, so the killer was who we thought it was the whole time.
Yeah, it was a mutant.
How about that?
Yeah, mutant hill people. It's The Hills Have Eyes, basically. And then she also turned out.
Oh, no, you're thinking of Just Before Dawn.
No. I'm thinking of because the
Mutant
Final
Hill
Terror
People is
also
the one where
has
it's him and his mother.
In the Final Terror.
Yeah. Joe Pantoliano and his mother are the killers.
That's right. Yeah.
Just Before Dawn.
So I was thinking of Just Before Dawn, which is Mutant Hill People.
That movie fucking rules.
We should do that one. Just get around to it. Just so we can talk about that ending.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. She also turned out to much bigger effect in the Burt Reynolds movie Sharky's Machine.
Oh, what a fucking terrible, terrible name.
Which I always say it like that because of the Venture Brothers episode where they go to the space station. The guy scares them by keep telling them about the time they all gathered to watch Sharky's Machine.
He gathered everyone in the hangar for what he called movie night. And under the flickering light of Burt Reynolds' Sharky's Machine, he opened the bay doors. Almost the whole crew was there. Sharky's Machine. Yep. They say his phantom spirit still roams these corridors. Phantom Spaceman!
It does not ring a bell. I have watched the entire series, but I don't remember that one.
You can look up Venture Brothers, Sharky's Machine, and you'll find the frame that I find so funny.
She's also in the Thornbirds.
Yep. Gains major recognition for the 1983 TV miniseries The Thornbirds, alongside Australian actor Brian Brown, whom she later married. She's a pretty robust.
I think one of the biggest TV movie events
I think that's the one that really kind of kicked off that sort of like epic TV miniseries trend in the 80s. Yeah, like all of a sudden you got like a Lonesome Dove and shit taking up four nights a week.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she has a pretty robust career of features and television, most of it filmed and released in England and Australia. Looking back on her career in 2009, she told the Daily Telegraph that she wished she had done more nudity because it would have been great for her career, advising young actresses to just get used to it, and then hand-waved male nudity away, stating that penises are boot nasty and that no one wants to see that shit.
Ladies, get the twins out. Come on, it's good for your career, says feminist Rachel Ward.
Oh, boy. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's going in the script.
And of course, it's fucking the Telegraph. Jesus.
I know. I struggled to find relevant information about anybody else in this movie, but the only other two leads are Drew Snyder, who plays Professor Millet, and Joseph Sakari, who plays the other detective Taj. While both actors leave an impression in this movie for wildly different reasons, Snyder's incredible overacting and Sakari's utterly bizarre comedy relief.
Mm-hmm. That also feels super Italian.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of bumbling cop thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because the police are blundering in the dark in this movie.
That's right.
Neither have much of a career to talk about, appearing primarily in guest spots on TV shows. Both are still quite active, and you've likely seen them if you've watched any network television in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
So we got a couple of taglines here. A lesson in terror.
Okay, fine. Low-hanging fruit, but sure.
Yeah. This next one. A is for apple. B is for bed. C is for co-ed. D is for dead. F is for failing to keep your head.
Oh, get out of here.
So dumb. It's so fucking dumb. It's like, hey, you Friday night movie theater dummies. You like that Friday the 13th shit? Well, watch this.
And they mostly did.
They mostly didn't. And then lastly, this one comes off of the British poster. Man is the only animal that kills for pleasure.
Boo. Boo, terror eyes. Boo.
Yeah. Oh, God. And this movie, if anything, it failed entirely on its marketing, because this movie had a terrible, terrible poster.
It does. It has a terrible poster. I think pretty much everything about this is a misfire because it was handled by all the wrong people. And I mean, it's not a very good script. It's pretty cliche.
It's a naked cash in on the sudden popularity of slasher.
This is a by the numbers slasher with some pretty heavy Italian overtones.
Yeah. Yeah, like the only reason that I like it is because it surprised me with all of those giallo touches.
Yeah.
And it feels very authentic in that way. Authentico.
Yeah, the thing about it is this movie just sort of rolls along exactly how you expect it to unfold, and then it's over. And yet you still come away feeling like you were entertained in a weird, lazy kind of way.
Oh, yeah. And like I said,
and hey, if anybody puts out a 4K, use that that's a pull quote. Go ahead for free. You can have that.
Yep. I found a weird poster that put Brad Fiedel as the composer in big, big, bold letters next to the key art.
Which is weird because when he did, Brad Fiedel was not much of this was really early in his career.
Yeah,
he's not a name that
he blows up. He blows up a couple of years later when he does the fucking Terminator.
Yeah, he does Terminator. He did True Lies. He did the fucking awful Punisher. The first one. He did Fright Night, I think.
Fright Night. Yeah, I think he also did part 2.
Yeah, he definitely did 2. I think he did both of them. He's not a name that would jump out at people. He's sort of subtle. He's quite good though, and the music in this is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, again,
it works.
It feels very 1981. It's not bad. I definitely like it. So the origins of this movie are kind of wild. It was written by producer Ruth Avergon. The project was originally in the hands of director Alfred Soule as a follow-up to Alice, Sweet Alice.
Starring
D.D. Winters.
Vanity.
It's Vanity. That's before
just look for purple and Vanity and throw us in a truck.
Yeah, it was supposed to star Vanity, then known as D.D. Winters, before she met Prince. When Soul and Vanity split over differences with Avergon, they went north to Canada to take advantage of that sweet, sweet tax shelter money and made a movie called Tanya's Island, an extremely fucked up story of a woman who escapes to a fantasy land where she falls in love with an ape man to escape the reality of her abusive boyfriend.
I'm listening.
Soul made this movie with Mick Garris and Rick Baker. I feel like I need to see this.
At any point, did anyone go, hey, who's the audience for this? Doesn't matter.
Nope. So then Avergon brought in Ken Hughes at the last minute to punch up the script, and for reason I will never understand, tack on some comedy.
So Ken Hughes, the best thing I could find about Ken Hughes is with relation to this, is that he called Boston the most civilized city in America. And I thought, well, that can't be true.
Hang on a second. Have you ever?
I've been to a lot of places.
Oh boy, that city is full of savages who will fucking pee in the seat on the orange line.
That's true.
Yep, very obviously angling to look and feel like an Italian giallo movie. Avergon chose Boston for the setting of the movie. Boston has a certain look and vibe about it that you absolutely cannot find in other American cities. Maybe Philadelphia?
Maybe. It also helps that she and one of the other producers, Larry Babb, are both from Boston.
Okay, so that explains.
Or actually just outside Boston, but that's probably more why.
Yeah, it's shot in the oldest parts of the city, the Beacon Hill neighborhood, where most of this movie was shot. The streets are narrow, one-lane affairs, and it's real fucking easy to get lost. In a lot of ways, it looks very European, and with a little fog can easily evoke the streets of London if you're trying to make a film in the style of German Creamy, or Rome if you're trying to do a giallo type thing, particularly the nearby North End neighborhood where all the good Italian restaurants are located.
And, fun fact, it was the original gay part of the city.
Was it?
Yep.
Huh. All right.
Yes, there was Prescott Townsend was a guy, he was sort of a gay liberation guy. He came from kind of an aristocratic family. He lived on Joy Street. He had a house on Joy Street, which is featured prominently in this. And he and he would have a bunch of dudes coming. He was kind of a creep. And he would have a bunch of dudes just kind of coming and going, kind of a flop house. They were very bohemian, a lot of literary aspirations. Nothing went anywhere. But he was in, I think, the early 30s, the late 20s or early 30s. He challenged on the Massachusetts Senate floor, challenged the laws against homosexuality.
No shit.
Yeah, openly challenged them. And the only reason he was really able to get away with any of this is because he came from an aristocratic family and you just couldn't fuck with him. It would be like fucking with a Kennedy. You just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So he was able to do this. And so he, that's kind of how he got away with this. But he was a bit of a trailblazer. He was more of a raconteur than anything else, though. He didn't really care that. He did, but he didn't. It was more about just kind of living it up. It's kind of a libertine existence.
Just went in there, didn't want to get hassled for having dudes over.
Yeah, and so this is where he lived. So it kind of became de facto gay neighborhood.
When was
and then
this?
Eventually, this is 20s and 30s.
Okay, because at the same time, H.P. Lovecraft was buzzing around those areas.
Weird, funny that.
That's where Pickman's model takes place.
Because we at some point go to the Pickman Gallery is over on Myrtle Street. It was on Myrtle Street, I think.
Yeah. So there's that, and also North End is where the defense fund offices for Sacco and Vanzetti were, and you can go there. Boston has a weird love affair with Sacco and Vanzetti. They have a big monument to them at the library.
Yep. Yeah. So that's it's an interesting part. You're gonna see if you watched the movie. A lot of this is the interiors of the school, I think, are Center for Adult Ed on ComAv. So I think that's where that's all shot. The exteriors, though, the nursery school is what was originally Beacon Hill Nursery School. It's gone.
Yeah.
Obviously, most of that shit over there is gone. And then the exteriors are Mount Vernon Street, Joy Street, and probably a little bit of Cambridge Street. It's if anyone's ever been there, it's a very small area. It's a very small neighborhood in general.
It's my favorite part of the city to walk around in.
Yeah, I mean, it's very quaint. It's very cute, but it's a lot of uphill. It's a bit, it's a hill to Beacon Hill.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of uphill, downhill. The backside of it is the State House, in the park.
Yeah, I remember it was several years ago. I had an appointment at MIT, and I decided to get off at Haymarket and walk up and over the hill, just to doing a little of that that situationist drift thing.
It's about 3 miles to MIT from there.
Well, no, I took it to Park Street and picked up the T from there. But yeah, I was like, oh shit, that's right. I'm walking uphill for most of this, and I was drenched by the time I got to MIT.
It's a really nice. So also over there is Sporters on camp. Well, it used to be Sporters. It's gone, long gone now. But Sporters was one of the oldest, longest running gay bars in America. Opened, I think, in 35, 36, something like that. Oh, shit.
Like
Closed
explicitly as a gay bar in the 30s.
Not exactly. They, you could not explicitly open a gay bar in the 30s.
Okay.
But
I mean, in the sense that it's kind of implied, and that people
so there's
just
going to be there will be a couple. There's going to be Jacques Cabaret, which actually opened as something else in the 30s. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name, but and then it became Jacques and Sporters, and so they're going to both late 60s. I think Sporters is 36. And Sporters, of the two, Sporters is the one that became, because of where it was, it sort of became known as a neighborhood gay bar. And then eventually it just ran as a gay bar until it closed in late 90s, early 2000s, maybe.
What a run.
Before it closed, it became something called The Sling.
Okay.
You can use your imagination.
I do believe that we mentioned The Sling in our cruising episode.
Probably. So that's why, like, this is where that area, it is not my favorite area of the city, but we do also kind of weave in and out of Back Bay. So you get a lot of Back Bay and Beacon Hill. Both of those are very gay. So,
with the exception of the final scene, which was a reshoot to jazz the movie up and add a little final act action, the entire movie was shot entirely on location in Boston, as we have exhaustively explained by this point. Previously, it
was a second one. There was one more.
The Brinks Job by William Friedkin.
Yeah.
It's a heist movie with Peter Falk.
And the original Brinks Job occurred there. So it's like, this is the first one, like, obviously, if you're going to make a Brinks Job movie, sure, film it in Boston. It's where the fucking thing happened. But this is like the first time they were like, hey, what if we filmed it here? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure everyone was like, yeah, but why? Why do you want to do that?
Because you got to get Boston. You got to get that Boston.
Is it all the mob labor?
As it turned out, I did a little reading on the Brinks Job, and they ran into some problems with mob labor.
Oh yeah.
Original title of this movie was Terror Eyes.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Get it? Terror Eyes.
I hate that. How dare you?
That was
dare you pander to me?
Hey, listen, you love double entendres, don't you? You love two words that mean one word.
That's true. I do like those.
That was the actual original title released in France. It was released in Spain as Psycho 2.
Lazy motherfuckers. That's like being like, oh no, this movie? Yeah. This is Zombie 2.
Right. Or what is it? Did they do? Somebody also made Alien 2 in Italy.
Yep.
Oh, my God. And lastly, this was one of the notorious video nasties, but ended up on the dropped 33 list after submitting to a minute of cuts to pass British theatrical censors, which is wild because this movie, and then again, the video nasties list is arbitrary at best, but this movie,
oh yeah,
there's a good deal of blood, but it's not super explicit. Like
it's anything that like offended the senses, like that's what made it onto the video nasty list. Because this is not a violent movie. I mean, it is in a sense. But
they're cutting heads off, but you only see one severed head in the movie. Well, a few,
and they're pretty silly when you see them.
They are pretty silly.
That is neither here nor there because it is just an arbitrary list.
Yep.
There's not much else to say about the movie itself.
Yeah.
It is just a super interesting time. Listener, if you spend any time in Boston, you probably know what it looks like. It is not, it is a far cry from what it used to be. And it used to have this kind of character to it. It was a place, there was a place for everybody. And it is no longer that. And I love this movie because it represents a time when that still existed, when a person could work at the fucking Filene's like ribbon counter and make a living enough to have an apartment and go out to the bars at night. I think you know what kind of girls I'm talking about. But like there isn't, it has a reputation now, and it is a deserved reputation. Boston's a fairly cold city, and I mean like emotionally cold, in a way that has always appealed to me. It's the kind of place where if you want to be ignored and left alone, go there. Nobody gives a fuck what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And they just don't care. Now that there obviously are upsides and downsides to that, but this represents a time when there was still communities. These neighborhoods really existed, and they really existed as neighborhoods. Nobody lives here anymore. I say that as somebody who lives here.
Yeah.
Like everybody lives. Most people who stay here usually like come here for school and then they leave, or if they stay, they move to like either Cambridge or Somerville or sort of like further out into the suburbs or whatever. Nobody lives downtown, and that's because there's fuck all to do in Boston. Despite what this movie will have you believe at the beginning, there's really not much going on, and there never really has been. And part of that has to do with the city's relationship to nightlife in general and to morality. It is a long and complicated, I'm not going to get into it because it will take us way, way off topic. But if anybody's super interested in learning more about it, you can look up the Watch and Ward Society, and you will learn a lot about why Boston is the way it is, or at least was the way it was.
Is Boston dry on Sundays?
No, it used to be.
Okay.
It is, so technically still, yes, it is still on the books. It's one of the blue laws. It doesn't exist.
Right.
It's nobody follows it
because Salem sticks to that.
Still?
Well, it's been a little while since I've been down there on a Sunday, but maybe 10 years ago, we dropped in like actually maybe a little more than that because I was still drinking then. But we popped into a place and tried to get some beer, and they were like, "Oh, sorry," and they point and like they're like it's all like locked up, and because it's a Sunday.
I don't. It's been a long time since I mean maybe, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, because the bars are open all the time around here. But they're just, it used to be that there were these neighborhoods. And unfortunately, what happened was they really broke them all up, starting with urban renewal in the late 50s in the West End. The West End has become, it is still studied as one of the worst executions of urban renewal in this nation's history because it was so badly done. It was done with cruelty, with indifference to the neighborhood, with indifference to the people who lived there, to their health and safety and well-being. They didn't give a fuck. They just came in and tore the whole neighborhood down. They did it on the pretense of urban blight, of getting rid of urban blight.
Yeah,
the reality was what they were trying to get rid of was moral decay. Because what was also over there was Scully Square. Even though Scully Square was gone by that point, this was sort of like a reminder of the city's more libertine past. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it had sort of shifted and moved around to the other parts of the city. But like they started tearing down these places because they were unsightly. And they were unsightly because that's where poor people lived.
Yeah.
And so they just start ripping up the city left and right without regard for anything, even without regard for like infrastructure. Yeah. They just start tearing things apart. And so this movie represents like, here's what's left of the old city, the way that it used to be. And, I am romanticizing and I'm extremely sentimental when it comes to this, but it really was a place where you could just go and find, like if you were living in anywhere in New England, anywhere else, like this was the only city, unless even Worcester. Like Portland is not. But Worcester, like if if we're talking like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s.
Oh, definitely not Worcester then.
But like this is where you'd go if you're a weirdo, if you're gay, if you're whatever, if you're a fucking spinster, whatever you are, if you're not in the sort of status quo within the norm. You could come here and have a life and find a community and find a place for yourself. And you probably would have been accepted in one way or another because there were so many communities and every one of them was active in one way or another. And a lot of them were based in these neighborhoods and then they just fucking tore them apart. So by the time the mid 80s, late 80s rolls around, they're pretty much gone. And what you have left are financial centers, the combat zone, which gets torn down maybe 10 years after and sort of overhauled. And then you have what we have now, which is a real slick, shiny city that nobody stays in. Everybody comes here and then they leave at the end of the day. And it's a fucking ghost town in like a real eerie way. If you ever really want to be creeped out and feel kind of unsafe, just hang out in like a downtown crossing after midnight. Nothing.
Yeah.
You will see nobody.
Oh no. There was years ago, I drove the girls down to a concert just at the Garden. And with nothing else to do, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to walk over to the North End and get something to eat. And it was late enough that the whole fucking place was closed down. Pizzeria Regina was still open, but it was a fucking ghost town. And like other times I've been to the North End, like that's one of the more touristy areas of the city.
Oh, yeah.
Because where all the good food is at.
Yeah.
And so weird as hell.
It's like that was the result of it. And this is one of the reasons why I love this movie, is that it is a reminder that this used to be a place like that. And for me, it still kind of was. When I moved here and I got active in like with the history project and like learning about the history, the queer history in Boston and the history of Boston's bars and nightlife, you can learn a fuckload about a city if you investigate its relationship to its sort of nightlife. You can learn pretty much everything about it. And so I really sort of felt like I came into my own when I started doing that. By the way, I was like 35. So I'm not like, it wasn't like I was a fresh out of high school.
Stars in your eyes.
Yeah, no.
The big city.
But it was like, there was still something to be found here. And I think maybe there still is. I like to think there still is something here. But I love this movie because it reminds me that there was a time when this was just another grimy place that welcomed fucking weirdos and found a place for them one way or another. And I hope that it's still that. I hope people can still find that here. I unfortunately have stopped finding that here. So it's time to look for it elsewhere. But that is why I chose this one.
All right.
Here's to you, Boston, you old bitch.
Where'd the press think of this crazy movie?
Well, they didn't like this movie.
None of them at all?
To put it charitably, they did not think much of this film. Let's start with the old gray lady herself, Boston Globe.
the old gray lady.
Michael Blowen from the Boston Globe. Night School follows a back-to-basics philosophy and emphasizes the elementary formula of young female college students who are systematically decapitated by a menacing motorcyclist. I love that that's an elementary formula. You know, that old classic. Eventually, after several heads sans bodies are found, the crime is solved. But most of the film's problems are not. The special effects are primitive, and there's mediocre acting, poor dialogue, and a recycled plot.
Okay, I hate that they're so right.
Look, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
It's all of them. It's all those stuffs together.
But I will say this: I don't know the notion of the all girls school. We've seen this in a lot of these movies that we've done so far. It is so infantilizing of these women. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, and Pete in that, because I will say more about that when we get there.
Okay.
This is the Cleveland Press. I will say I had a hard time finding.
I would imagine
reviews
because it really is deep cut. Like the only person who had any familiarity with it when we mentioned it was Jeff Nelson.
Well, because Jeff Nelson has
his particular taste,
an inventory of American horror that surpasses anybody else. Here is the Cleveland Press. Tony Mastriani. Night School was filmed in Boston, proving that even some of our most venerable and respected cities make horrible mistakes.
Easy there.
Yeah, well, Night School is badly written, confusingly directed, and poorly acted. And as a mystery story, it cheats in its conclusion. Not once, but several times.
I disagree. Okay, the acting. There is so much.
Oh, come on. You can figure out how it's going to end halfway through the movie.
We were like, okay, well, obviously, this is the killer. And then when the killer is revealed, we were like, what? Oh, my God. Because we were just
serious?
Yeah, because we were just having so much fucking fun with it.
Okay, because like halfway through this movie, I think I have a note that was like, does anybody want to guess who the killer is?
The second time that I watched it for the notes, I was like, okay, they're telegraphing it. And we're not going to fucking blow it until the end of this one. Because usually we spoil this shit up top.
Well, let's stay in Cleveland. You know what? Actually, all three of these reviews are from Ohio. So I guess it must have done well in Ohio. I mean, commercially, not critically. Here is James Yinger, Cleveland Plain Dealer.
The old gray lady.
The old gray lady herself.
The old gray dealer.
Night School has many opportunities to be a mediocre, even trite little movie, and it takes advantage of just about every one of them. The chance for a truly thoughtful whodunit is missed because Avergon and Hughes seem too preoccupied with the murders themselves. In this movie, the ritual nature of the killings are just camouflage for a tired story. You know what? I will say that is a matter of opinion because it's not wrong. But it's also not right. It's very subjective.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's fine. Norman Dresser, Toledo Blade.
The old gray
The
lady.
production standards of Night School are fairly high, with good photography and location work in Boston.
Okay.
The script and direction are strictly routine. The performances, aside from the work of man, are substandard. Most of the victims screamed convincingly. I included this review for that last line alone.
They really sell you on the terror.
Mm-hmm. And for what it's worth, these ladies genuinely seem frightened.
Yeah. That is a quality I like, because most of it is like women going, oh, go away, except for one lady who's just like, get no, you fucking freak, as she's like throwing chairs and shit at him.
Oh yeah, no, she's the local hire, and you can tell. And finally, the reviewer who I prize among all others, the IMDb.
Oh, God.
What a crappy movie. This movie is so easy to criticize as it's plagued with every disease that a crappy movie can have. Bad actors, bad scripts, and no originality. When I first watched this movie, I'm using the word movie a lot, I swore it was made for TV, but I was wrong. The evil stalker is this guy on a motorcycle that wears a black helmet with a tinted visor. The ordinary biker helmet did not seem unusual or scary, but rather bland and a sign of cheapness in the production's budget and imagination.
You dumb bastard.
Well, all I know is that you Phoebes enjoyed it. So,
God. All right, well, we're going to dive into this movie right after these messages. All right, you ready?
Kick it!
Here we go. We open on the city of Boston. The River Charles by night.
Sans the Prudential Center.
The winding streets of historic Beacon Hill. When was that building built?
83, I think.
Okay. Yeah. We cut to a playground at the Jack and Jill Daycare Center. One of the kids spins on the merry-go-round with Miss Barron, her favorite teacher. She hands off her pinwheel as her mother picks her up, and Miss Barron continues to twirl toward freedom.
Twirling towards freedom.
As everybody else leaves for the night.
Yeah, the guy's just like, hey, Miss Barron, you gonna get the fuck out of here or what? She's like, no, I'm just gonna stick around for a few more twirls around the old merry-go-round. Oh, no!
Unbeknownst to her, a motorcycle rides up and parks. The rider approaches Miss Barron and stops the merry-go-round suddenly. She addresses the rider, but receives no answer. The rider spins the merry-go-round faster and faster and produces one of those crazy-ass kukri knives.
It seems really cruel to make her nauseous before decapitating. It's literally insult to injury.
Listen, this she could just put her foot down, stop the ride, or just tumble off and go running off into the night.
Anything would have done more. Anything would have been better than what she did, which was nothing.
She clings to it, going, "Please stop! Please stop!" Yep. So yeah,
that's one of my favorite parts of this whole movie. Is that every victim is going to be like, no, why are you doing this? No, while he's like stabbing her in the neck and the head.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah, got one of those kukri knives instead, like curved blade.
Yeah, they all sound like Teddy Bear the Porcupine.
Just wants to eat pumpkins, man.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It seems to me that she probably could have just jumped off and run for her life, but no. She clings to the merry-go-round for dear life, demanding that the rider, now seen in all black, wearing a motorcycle helmet, swings the knife. So we cut to Faneuil Hall in the daytime. conveniently located near the Blue Line Aquarium stop on the T.
It's true.
It's a busy day at the famous tourist destination. Here comes Detective Judd Austin and his lady friend on their way home from the grocery store.
And where did they park? Well, hell, just right in the middle.
Right.
Is this a suitable place to park?
My note says they are parked right on the walkway, and it's driving me nuts for some reason.
It's fine. Good luck getting out of there, friend.
They get back to their apartment where she busts his chops about not staying up to date with all the hot happenings as one of Harvard's esteemed alumni.
Who is now they bring this up several times as though it's going to go somewhere. It is meaningless.
Yeah.
The fact that he goes to Harvard, nothing. They're just like, hey, Boston, am I right?
Yeah, he's a smarty pants cop.
Yeah. And so here he is, cop, going to Harvard, living in what would today be a $6,000 a month apartment.
Yeah.
Just
they walk in
plants.
and it is like that interior room that they walk into is bigger than your entire apartment.
Yes. Yeah.
He looks through the Boston Globe for things to do. So much culture. But hey,
they really sell it. They're just like, so much to do. We could go here or we could do this. Look, there is not a fucking thing to do here.
It must have been, hey, listen, you can go to the aquarium. You can go to the Museum of Science. You can go you can go up to the theater district. You can go see Blue Man Group.
You could. I won't, but you could. And then it's like, why don't we drive down to the Cape for a nice long lunch? It's like, bitch, that is like 2 hours away.
When he said, yeah, why don't we go down to the Cape? We can walk on the sand and shit. And I was like, it seems like a really long drive. So I looked it up and it says it's like an hour and a half, but with traffic, it's more like 3 hours.
Yeah. Fuck you talking about?
Yeah. So yeah, the phone rings. Judd picks it up. Bad news at work. See, they found a body on his day off, no less.
Well, that's the worst time to find a body.
Yeah. Stevie, his wife, maybe, she's bummed. He has time for all these dead bodies, but not her. Yep.
They also make it seem like this is going to be kind of a thing going forward.
She never comes back.
You're never going to see her again.
Nope.
I imagine there were probably scenes in this movie that got cut.
Probably.
And these people probably were in them. Because I know there are other people that are in the movie that ended up not really being in it very much.
Yeah.
The waitress is one of them.
Yep. He has her book a table at a fancy Boston restaurant. Hits the crime scene.
Yeah, let's go to L'Espelier. L'Espelier. What is that restaurant called?
I have no idea. I couldn't even. I tried to listen to it a couple of times, and I'm like, I'm not picking this up.
It's fancy.
Yeah, it's down by the Common. So they found the body of Miss Barron at the daycare center. Her head was decapitated. They found her head over by the snow cone concession.
Pow! she was decapitated. And I love that he just picks up the pinwheel and just starts like fidgeting with it. It's like, hey man, that's evidence. Right. Put that down.
As it turns out, he's not a very good cop. He's just going to do some shit that would definitely like they could have arrested the killer and that killer would have walked. Yeah. So Judd's sidekick partner Taj informs him same MO as the last one they found.
And he's just here for the yucks.
He really, really is, including the big finale.
Yeah, where he's just like, waka waka.
So Taj brings him over to a nearby garbage can where the killer left the body. So they talk to the lady who runs the place. Miss Barron was an assistant there, and man, the kids just loved her. She worked there to pay her way through night school. She attends Wendell College, a girls' school, we're informed, where she was studying.
That's right, everybody. This was at a time when they still separated men and women in college.
It's so weird.
I believe the Radcliffe School was still open. The Radcliffe School, for people who do not know, is where women, if you were a woman who got admitted to Harvard, you got admitted to the Radcliffe School. Now it is the Radcliffe Institute, I think.
Okay.
It's mostly where like it's a really, really big archive. It's a very cool archive.
All right.
A lot of the gender stuff is there, obviously. Yeah. There's a lot of labor stuff that's there.
Huh.
But that's where you would go if you were a woman who went to Harvard. You would get Radcliffe School. And so it's not that unusual that this is a school for women. It is an unusually active school at night.
There's a shitload of people going there because they're all like nurses during the day, and they're all like,
They have very odd jobs during the day. They're already professional people during the day. I don't know what they're going to school for. But it is strange that they don't really go out of their way to explain that. The way it comes across is that this is a night school, which is to say, like, that is, if you were to say this is someone goes to night school, you might think community college.
Yeah.
And that is sort of the point of all of, like, that is what a night school essentially is it's like, it's for people who work during the day. But most schools now have classes at night for that very reason. And they did back then too. So this is not a community college, but they never explain, like, this is not a school that is exclusively at night.
Right.
This is just a school that has classes at night. So they make it seem like all these bitches are working during the day and then going to school at night. And it's like, no, it's just the ones who are getting killed. They're just there.
Listen, if you want to get killed, you book some classes at night. You make sure that you walk home alone.
You got to be working class.
Yep. So yeah, working her way to pay through night school. She attends Wendell College, a girls' school. We're informed where she was studying to be a teacher. Over at the coroner, the ME mispronounces guillotine while explaining the cause of death. Just a quick, clean kill. The head came right off. No other wounds.
And he's like, was that all? He's like, what the fuck you want? Get out of here. I got other fucking bodies to look at. You're going to get a lot of Boston accents. You're going to get real Boston accents in this. Because you know what? Here's another thing I've never really mentioned. You don't get a lot of Boston accents. That accent doesn't really exist much anymore around here. It does sort of out in the suburbs, but not so much in Boston.
No, you got to go to Roslindale for that.
Not Roslindale's nothing but students at this point. You got to go to fucking Weymouth. Want that? Seriously, you got to go up to fucking Danvers. But you get it in this movie throughout it, where there's just like, "Hey, sugar, can I get some fucking coffee?"
Oh, those two guys are pure Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. He and Taj walk and talk while Taj drops some expository dialogue. Keep that fancy schmancy Harvard psychology out of my police work, kid. This killer.
Yeah, this is where they're gonna split it up. And he's like, you're gonna go do this thing, and I'm gonna go do this thing. And he's like, well, wait a minute. And he's like, I'm doing it because I went to Harvard. And I was like, just so you know, that's why everybody hates you people. Right?
You tell everybody you went to Harvard. And if you find out they went to Yale, don't want to hear it. Yeah. Taj tells him the killer's a maniac who likes to chop off heads. Mm-hmm. And end of story. So Judd drives over to Wendell College off Tremont Street just to check out the scene. He meets with Helene Griffin, head of the school, who complains that she unfortunately never got to know Miss Barron more intimately. More on that later.
Yuck. Don't like that.
That was an unexpected turn.
Put a pin in that homophobia.
Miss Barron was studying anthropology with Professor Millet. So he lets himself into the classroom where the professor is presenting a series of photographs of a ritual from Papua New Guinea.
Oh, but I believe before he goes there, he meets Kathy, the woman. She works like in the administration. She's like, you have to talk to Kathy. She would know more about this. And I was like, Kathy has like real, how do we know she is alive energy?
Oh God. I kept on thinking of sorority, House and Sorority Row. And the other one I kept on thinking of was I expected the girl to come out of the scene and be like, could you point to my pectorals? Oh, the only thing better is smoking pot and making love on a waterbed all day.
It's, you could watch this in pieces. You know what? I think someone should arrange for a this and pieces double feature.
Maybe we'll do it in the Discord. We'll do this. We'll do House and Sorority Row, and we'll do pieces.
So good.
Yeah. When class is over, Judd talks to the professor, who is offended that he popped into his room in the middle of his lecture.
This guy sucks.
Oh my God, he's the fucking worst.
Yeah, he is. He's real into colonialism.
Right from the jump, this guy is just the fucking worst in every possible respect. Mm-hmm. And you immediately go, oh, well, he's the killer.
Yeah.
So
those teeth alone.
They talk about Miss Barron, who didn't know her very well. So he hands he hands Judd off to his assistant, Anne. And the professor is real handsy with her, going so far as to even kiss her tenderly on the forehead. Yes.
Shouldn't do that.
It's another movie where a goddamn college professor is fucking all of his students. So in walks
men are real gross, I think.
It's
just in general, across the board.
Such a fucking common trope in these movies. We've run into this so many times.
I dare say it's becoming a common trope in this world.
Yeah.
Eric Swalwell.
In walks his other assistant, Eleanor, who gets an eyeful of this handsy asshole. He excuses himself so he can go get coffee or whatever. Judd hangs back and talks to Anne, who doesn't give him much information. She had a boyfriend, it seemed, but she didn't know who he is. He was other than her, she said. No, he was older than her, she said. So, might have been the guy we just talked to.
Yeah, who do you think that could be?
Yeah. Someone that they both knew, but Miss Barron was real secretive about it. I wonder which member of the faculty she could be talking about.
And then he turns to Eleanor and he opens his mouth to speak and she goes, "Fuck you!" Walks away.
So on the way out, Judd catches Millet and Eleanor on their way out, and he is formally introduced to Eleanor. The professor offers some insight. Obviously, this is a maniac they're dealing with. A killer who strikes without reason.
I wish we had more maniacs in the world.
Or if we were in Italy, a sex maniac.
That weren't in positions of power.
The killer is a sex maniac. Eleanor pops over.
In a position of power.
They always are.
Under a purple moon.
So there's a sex maniac in the safe. So Eleanor.
I would watch that movie. I have very low standards.
Eleanor pops over to the Lamplight restaurant, a busy neighborhood joint, and it's hopping. Busboy is a super creep who can't take his eyes off of her. He wordlessly cleans off of her table as she just sits there, just eating her up with his eyes. The waitress comes over to take her order, and I have but one question.
I'm gonna preempt it and just say yes.
Is that a wig? Because I honestly couldn't tell.
Is it a wig? Is it a hate crime?
That is a wig that she styled herself.
That is. She looks like someone was like, "Hey, I need you to get into your best Alice drag." And when I say Alice, I mean the sitcom from the 70s. Because she is pencil in the hair, wearing the fucking apron. Like, this thing is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Also,
she's also the best character in the whole movie.
She's the best. Yep, there's a sweet song playing in the background. It sounds like it could be, but definitely isn't the Screamers.
I would say no, it is probably not the Screamers.
Famously unrecorded band. Yeah, the waitress comments on all the horny night school ladies who come in here and then asks her about that Professor Millet.
She goes, "Hey, you're in Professor Millet's class. Is it true?" And I wrote, "Is it bigger than a baby's arm?"
Is it bigger than a bread box? So, yeah, he's quite a piece, ain't he? This annoys Eleanor, who pays her check and walks out on her own.
But see, here's the weird thing. We see Eleanor walk in. So she goes in, she sits down, she doesn't order anything, then she gets a bill and leaves?
Yeah.
What's happening?
The creepy
what kind of restaurant is this?
I know, you got to pay just to have a seat. So the creepy busboy is taking out the trash, spots her crossing the alley. He decides to abandon his job in order to properly stalk her through the quiet streets of Boston on her way back to her apartment.
Yeah, look, developmental disability or no, you don't get to just follow a lady home like that.
Yeah, it's not long before she realizes that she's being followed, and even though he keeps ducking out of sight when she turns to look, he eventually decides, fuck it, and just out and out chases her until a jump scared dog comes out of nowhere, barking this way and that, causes her to run.
I think this is where we see Mark Irwin you're really getting your fucking money's worth here. Like, he's like, look, I will do my best to make this interesting.
Yeah.
And I think he does. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty standard, like, shot at the shoes. It's like, it's real fucking 1940s stuff.
Reminded me of Cat People.
Yeah. But he's doing his best, and I think it's pretty effective.
Yeah. So the music intensifies. She trips and drops her shit all over the place. But
it's a real like keys.
I also thought about that scene. Yeah, but manages to get inside before the creep can reach her. Once safely inside, she checks the windows and assures herself that there's no one out there, and then gets down to undressing.
Oh, and this polyester workwear and this awful sheer bra that just makes me really sad.
Look, she's a research assistant. You know, she's living hand to mouth. Got that. she went over to Downtown Crossing and got that shit at Filene's basement.
Yeah, she did.
So fires up the shower with water pressure like a fucking sandblaster, and climbs in as someone attempts to let themselves into her apartment.
Yeah, this is so what we're going to get here is if someone being like, hey, you guys remember Psycho, right?
Yep.
What if we just rip out that whole scene for a little unearned tension? How about that?
So
then next time he's like, the guy's just fucking ripping, like he's banging on the door. He's like sticking his hand in. And it's like, hey man, how about next time you just ring the bell first, then try breaking in.
So they ring the bell a lot, but given the extreme pressure of the shower, it's no wonder that she can't hear it. She starts to walk.
It's a great shower though. Look, I love a good water pressure. Really,
that one will just blast the fucking epithelials right off you.
That's true.
So she shuts the water off just as the dude stops ringing. When she's sure that it's all good, she fires it back up. So how is she to know that someone was in her apartment? Creeps up on her and then throws the shower curtain aside, practically giving her a heart attack. And it turns out that it's just Professor Millet.
All right. Here you go, everybody. This is a free tip for the fellas out there.
Stop scaring ladies.
There's a lady that you're sweet on, say. Or anyone, really. It doesn't have to be a lady. Here's what you don't do. You don't break into their apartment, creep up to them while they're in the shower, and then rip the shower curtain open. This is like the most vulnerable you can be next to pooping. And he is just like, oh, hey, I guess you didn't hear me. Why couldn't you wait in the living room, you fucking weirdo?
Look, Professor Millet likes to keep things fresh and interesting.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And then we get...
Oh, yeah, but apparently there's no women in this night school that he isn't fucking. And so, yeah, in the shower together, he smears red paint all over her body.
Here, let me rub this berry paste all over your ass.
So confused. I was so confused in this moment.
Look, aside from just being like really, really stupid, it is a seriously unsexy moment.
It really is. Yeah. It's supposed to be sexy, but I'm going to level with you. I don't get it, like, at all. Is this food play? What exactly is going on here?
I think they're supposed to be, like, doing a ritual or something. This is some real colonialist bullshit.
This is how the natives do it in Papua New Guinea.
And then they cut down, and they're like, oh, the water is so red. And that was when I was like, okay, I get it. It is kind of trite. Here's a question, though. This must have been... So the impetus for this story, this screenplay, was that the lady, what's her name? Ruth Avergun.
Yeah.
She read an article about headhunting tribes in Papua New Guinea. Now, there haven't been headhunting tribes in Papua New Guinea in, I think, since 60. I'm going to say early 60s. Don't quote me on that. That's a wild swing. Somewhere around there, though. Mm-hmm. And so what I was thinking was, I wonder if this was when Tobias Schneebaum was making the rounds. He was Keep the River on Your Right.
Oh, right.
And so he wrote a book. And then I wonder if the book came out, it must have come out around this time.
Yeah.
Like in the mid-70s, early to mid-70s when she read that. Because that was probably the last time anything like that would have happened.
Probably. I do remember, like, you'd see this stuff on TV every now and then, like, just like, evening magazine kind of documentary stuff. Like, did you know that the savages are still doing this in the jungles of Borneo? And there'd be like
I guess there is no way to really know what the fuck she was reading, but like, it did seem like it was sort of lining up for when he would have been speaking out about that. And that would have been, because I think the last time that they really did any of those practices was in like the late 50s, early 60s, like when he was there.
Yeah. There's also this movie also came out kind of at the tail end of the Mondo sensation. And so that was, there were so many of those movies that featured native savages performing, these crazy rituals.
And it's just like fucking someone in Zimbabwe trying to like make dinner.
Right. They rip a snake in half and
they're like, hey, could you not be so fucking racist and also get out of my way?
The answer is no. We have a film to make.
The answer is buongiorno.
So we cut to the big fish tank at the Boston Aquarium, where families come together.
That's true.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put that old WLVI commercial in here. I can walk like a penguin.
Okay, if you can find it.
I found the perfect place to take the whole family, the New England Aquarium.
Oh, Daddy, you have great surprises. Oh, yeah, come on, around here, the sharks. Look at you. Nina, look at that.
How does that feel, Karen?
Hey, look how close they are. What a giant turtle. I can walk like a penguin. Look like mirrors. Hey, Mom, the dolphin show.
The New England Aquarium, where families get together.
I swear I just fucking saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
Where did I just see that?
I believe I sent it to you.
Okay, that would make a lot of sense.
That
seems right.
As soon as I saw the aquarium, I was like, "Oh,
sorry, it's been a long weekend."
So this here is like a third grade field trip rite of passage going back generations.
Well, not anymore. It's not. Ever since a certain kid from a certain high school jumped into the penguin tank.
What?
Oh, that's right. Do you remember Mr. Dover?
Yes. Yeah, he was my
guidance counselor.
He was my my guidance counselor.
Yeah, he was the guidance counselor. His son.
Oh, his very, very mentally ill son.
His son, who was pretty unwell, jumped into the penguin tank on like a dare. Like someone was like, "Hey man, would it be really fucking funny if you jumped in the tank?" And he's like, "Sure would." Hold my shoes, bud.
Listen, our high school fucking sucked.
Yeah, it's like, what do you get? You get, you ruin trips to the aquarium in Boston, and also you get Pam Smart.
Fuck you, Winnicott at high school.
Yeah, you're the worst. So yeah, I say put that in there. It sounds great. So what I like about, the cinematography here is it must be very hard. They must have they would have been like, sure, you've got a couple fucking hours. That's it. Mm. And so I think they make the most of it here. And he's able to film in a way that he's filming through the glass.
Yeah.
And yet it makes it seem as though they're in the water. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a very effective moment. That's not something that I think just a random hack could do.
Right.
Like he does a pretty decent job of shooting this stuff as well.
Yep. People watch a diver feed the turtles. They're so caught up in the majesty of marine life that they don't notice that a certain black-clad motorcyclist, helmet on, is among them, watching the diver in the tank. So the diver gets out, removing their wetsuit on the way to the locker room. And it's revealed...
And then I thought, here's where I was like, wait a minute. So she's an ocean scientist by day and an aspiring anthropologist by night? This lady must lead a very rich and interesting life. Only in the late 70s could one be both a marine biologist and take night classes to become something else.
So it's revealed to be a beautiful young woman. As a matter of fact, it's Kim from the night school. The killer quietly follows her down to the locker room and rattles that crazy-ass knife along the cage containing all the diving equipment.
Oh, this is the worst. This is probably the worst kill in the whole movie. And I mean that in like the scene itself is pretty intolerable.
Yeah. They leap out of a nearby cabinet and attack Kim, throwing a net over her and slashing away as she weakly begs for the killer to go away.
It goes a little something like this. Go away. Leave me alone.
That's pretty much it, as she's being slashed and tangled up in a net.
Look, the net is probably the worst.
You can't get out of it. You're just caught up in it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's blood all over the place, and the killer just hacks her head off and throws it in the big fish tank.
And unfortunately, the head sort of floats down and bonks that poor turtle on the head.
That turtle wasn't doing nothing.
And then the turtle's like, I guess I could try eating this.
You thought for a moment, he was like, oh, cool, more food. Shit.
Then he died. Yeah. He probably died.
So now Taj informs Judd that the killer pulled the old head in a fish tank routine as they...
Oh, that old classic? That is literally a quote, by the way, everybody.
As they look over the crime scene, Judd's trying to put the pieces together, but his working class partner isn't taking this very seriously.
He's like, oh, her job was to feed the fish. And I'm like, I'm fairly certain that is not a job in itself. Like, your job is not to get into the tank. Like, that would be some real exploitation.
Yeah. No.
Hey, climb into the shark tank and feed them by hand.
Yep.
Paying it $2.75 an hour.
Everything comes back to some kind of Armenian reference with this guy. So
yeah, he's real wacky. He's a real zany fella.
Yeah. So Judd drives over to Millet's place and is surprised to find Eleanor at the door. And she
also this fucking house on a teacher's salary. Get the fuck out of here.
No, it's like you said. You know, you could work at the ribbon counter at Filene's and still afford a place.
Well, trust me, you weren't living in this thing. You were living in an SRO down in fucking Fenway. No, both this house and the school are both in like Back Bay mansions.
Okay,
like these are just houses. Like this, people live here.
So she insists that Millet is busy and has no time for talking. She explains that it's not what it looks like. She's just his research assistant,
whom he rubs red berry paste all over. For research.
Yep. And Millet's office is decorated like an old-timey African big game hunter's home. They exchange barbs, and Millet offers the theory that the killer just enjoys killing. Nothing unusual in that.
They really should have just called him Professor Red Herring and been done with it.
Animals kill each other for survival, but humans do it for personal enjoyment. Judd tells him...
I will add there are animals that kill for personal enjoyment as well, just so we can be clear about
like
that.
Polar bears.
I don't think they're one of them.
They just kill humans.
They hunt humans, yes.
Hunting humans.
They hunt everything, though. You have to.
Yeah.
You're just out there in the snow. You can't see a fucking thing.
No. And they're white. They look just like the snow. They just pop out of nowhere and they eat you.
Yeah. They're like, you are food. I don't have a lot of options. I'm sorry. You should have gone somewhere else.
Judd tells him that the latest victim is also one of his students and insinuates that he thinks Millet might be the killer. So Millet says that he never gets emotionally involved with his students. Were you fucking these students, Professor? Absolutely not, Detective.
And by that he means absolutely.
Yeah. So when Judd leaves, Eleanor comes out and gets all emotional at the insinuation that he's all up in every girl at the night school.
I feel like they hired her because of her ability to cry on cue. She's very good at it.
Probably. So Millet gives her some shit. You're not going to be a woman about this, are you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's jealous, and Millet insists that there's nothing to it. She's the only one. Bullshit. So Eleanor has some coffee over at the lamplight where the waitress tells her not to worry about dudes. They're not worth it. And a couple of horny construction workers harass the waitress.
These fucking guys.
Yeah.
Look, someone ought to kill these construction guys. No, we're too busy chopping up ladies to do anything useful.
Millet rides up on a motorcycle alarmingly similar to the one we've seen the killer riding.
Professor Red Herring.
Yeah. He sits down and apologizes for his behavior, and she tells him that she's pregnant. She's been hiding it, afraid of how he'd react. But he's totally cool with it. She says, and I quote,
yeah, go ahead.
So you're going to let me have the baby?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a fucking wild thing to say.
Yep. And then she says, why don't we get married? And he goes, I gotta go.
And then he flirts with Carol, the waitress, to Eleanor's disappointment.
Oh, and this is where this poor, bewigged waitress seals her fate.
That's right. She asks him if he'll marry her, and he just shrugs it off and leaves. And then Carol drops a cup of coffee and tells her that it's all bullshit. He ain't worth it, baby. So
you know what? She's too good for this world.
Millet rides his murder cycle over to the night school, flirting with every girl on the way in.
That was such low-hanging fruit.
But
also TM. That nobody could take that.
No, that's mine. That's fucking mine. He talks to Helene, who has no time for him. She's too busy talking to Anne, who is tearfully telling her about how Millet exploited her naivete. Helene tells her that Millet's days teaching at Wendell are over, and then, as if this is any better, she invites Anne to spend the night at her place so they can talk it out, and then she gets a little touchy-feely with her.
Yeah, gotta check that homophobia box on the way out the door, didn't you, night school?
Back at the lamplight, Carol is closing up the restaurant for the night. She's all by herself, just putting up the chairs, moving a big pot of stew out of the freezer. She has no idea that a certain black-clad motorcycle rider is on the prowl.
And there's so much Friday the 13th, and I will say My Bloody Valentine, even though I don't think it had come out yet.
No.
You could see them in there. Like it's like stock footage.
Oh, sure. Yeah, like they were taking notes. Like, this has got to be in there, and this has got to be in there.
And yet, for some reason, it doesn't feel like a ripoff.
No, not at all.
It is, very obviously. It's a fucking one-to-one cash-in. But, like, it doesn't... It feels like a nod more than anything else, even though I know that's not what they're doing.
So the killer shuts the lights off as Carol clumsily makes her way around the dining room looking for whoever cut the power. And then she spots the killer in the gloom, who produces that crazy knife and slowly approaches. Carol tries to escape out the back door, but it's locked. And then she tries to fend them off with chairs, but the killer strikes. She's the only one who actually tries to fight this guy back.
She does. She goes, you fucking creep. I love it.
Yeah. So she runs out the back door, just covered in blood, looking up the steps for the killer, but spots no one. So she runs down the street, falling for the killer's ruse.
God, a cunning attempt.
Yeah. They hack at her neck and take her head off, and then the killer brings it back to the restaurant.
And the worst part about the whole thing is that she died wearing that awful Little Orphan Annie wig.
In the morning, Gus, the cook, opens the place up and just finds it in shambles. The two horny construction workers come in right behind him, just hungry as hell. He goes out back to see what he has ready to serve and ominously puts the big pot of stew on the stove to cook.
Ugh.
It's a huge one. It's like that gigantic pot from Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, the corn, yeah.
So Gus serves the two dudes who hungrily wolf it down, pulling big clumps of hair out of their mouths.
And I think this is probably the worst part of the whole movie because you're just like, oh, I can feel it. It's so gross.
Oh, it gets bad. It gets even worse.
Finding old wig hair in your chili. God. Oh.
Gus goes out back to have a look at the stew. Could there be a human head in there, perhaps, simmering on the stove in that giant pot? He noisily pours it out into another pot. The sound is absolutely fucking disgusting.
It's probably the worst part, like literally the worst part of the movie where it's just like,
I'm gonna play the sound right here because it's nasty.
It's gross.
But he finds nothing. He opens the fridge looking for more beef stock, and he finds the sink clogged with gray standing water and drains it, eventually revealing the severed head of Carol.
And again, this is a cheesy reveal, and you see it coming from a mile away, but it's pretty well executed.
Well, I do like how they kind of draw it out. Like he'll open up the freezer, and it's just like stocked with all this like red meat, and it's like, oh, it's just beef. Mm-hmm. And then he goes over and there's more meat, and then he does the thing.
Like you literally have to watch the water drain out of the sink very slowly, and then it's very obscured, and then it kind of comes into view, and it's a pretty cool moment. Yeah. Again, high marks for Mark Irwin.
So when the cops get there, Judd wants to know what the head was doing in the sink. There seems to be a connection here. They found the first head in a duck pond. They found another in the aquarium tank, and now the head was found under the water in the sink.
Oh, there's the other one they find in a bucket.
Oh, that's right.
The first one is the duck pond. We never see that happen.
We never see that because that happens before the movie starts.
Second one is in the bucket, the one in the merry-go-round.
So Taj asks Gus about the busboy, that guy who's, little tutti frutti, he says.
Okay, come on now.
And then Gus tells him he didn't come to work today. The cops, meanwhile, found Carol's body in the dumpster behind the building. The drive over to the busboy's place, find him just chilling out in his hovel. The walls plastered with cutouts from nudie magazines.
Gary loves boobs.
Just can't get enough.
Just like the people on the IMDb trivia board. Gary loves boobs. Gary also has a hockey mask.
That's right. Yeah. But you know what? We said the same thing. And then somebody in the Discord pointed out that the hockey mask doesn't show up until 82.
That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we're getting shades of the hockey mask,
but obviously,
and of My Bloody Valentine.
Obviously, he's a Bruins fan.
Fucking A right he is.
Yeah, he was probably over at the Garden on the night of the Blizzard.
Yeah, what are you gay? Must you fucking love the Bruins?
And then
get out of here.
Yep. And they want to know why he didn't go to work. He says he's sick. Judd goes through his shit while Taj talks to him, turning up a bra, which he says is a hobby of his.
What does that mean?
He just likes collecting women's underwear.
Okay. You know who else did?
Who else?
Gnome's husband.
What's that?
Brian Gnome.
Also
true. Into that.
Yep. They ask him if he knew the victims. They bring up his prior conviction for indecent exposure. Judd isn't satisfied because Gus is just a flasher and definitely not a killer. So he storms out, leaving Taj behind. The Judd drives back over to Millett's place, finding no one home. He then produces a key and lets himself in.
So it might be, there was a very long time ago when cities were much smaller, cops had skeleton keys to everything.
No shit. Okay.
And so, you know how your mailman, well, you don't, but if you lived in a city, your mailman would have a key to your door.
Yeah. No way.
Like a key that will open your door.
That's scary.
Yeah. And so it might be something like that. It's just something that now we look at and we're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
It could be something because the city is so old.
Okay. Yeah. So he wanders around, taking in all the stolen Aboriginal artifacts in the place. And he finds books about tribal people from Papua New Guinea. Finds a folder of photos of native headhunter cults. And Millet is photographed among them.
I mean, but hey, look, if you look around my apartment, if you went through all my books, 65% of the things that I have on my bookshelf are stuff about gay cruising. You would be yeah, he has these books. This is what he writes about.
Yeah.
It's not weird that he has this stuff. He's a professor of anthropology.
Yeah.
From the future, where apes evolved from men.
Get your hands off me, you dirty ape. So in walks Eleanor, who is confused as hell about how he got in and what he, a detective with the Boston Police Department, is doing here, alone, without a warrant.
I love, though, that you run into this. We don't see this now, I think, because it would be very unusual, I think, for people to see a character being hey, what the fuck are you doing here, man?
Yeah.
But she's just he's well, I'm a cop. She's I don't give a shit. Get the fuck out of my house. I'm going to call the cops right now, man.
Very, very Bostonian attitude also.
Yeah, there's this, I think there is now an idea of you have to do whatever they say or they'll shoot you.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the 80s or, before that, it was just kind of I don't give a fuck. What's your fucking name, man?
Right. So she threatens to call the cops, and he brings up the headhunter photos and these recent headhunter murders. She rationalizes it as this thing that they've done for centuries, and he asks her why they'd put the heads in the water, and she tells him that they do this to cleanse the souls of evil spirits. And she sure knows a lot about this, doesn't she?
How about that?
Yeah. So Eleanor goes over to night school looking for Millet, and she finds him in a classroom arguing with Helene, who is yelling at him about all these affairs that he's having. Eleanor leaves in a huff. He knows what her interest is in all these girls, and it's not for their welfare.
That's right. You're a woman in a position of power over girls, so it's totally okay for me to infer that you're a lecherous lesbian.
Shade. So Judd drives over to stake out Millet's place, and Millet walks his bike out onto the streets and rides off. Judd follows. He doesn't make it far as a city garbage truck drives out into the street.
I was are you seriously going to try and do a car chase here? That's not going to work.
Taj calls him on the radio to tell him that he has Helene's house staked out, and Gary, the pervert, just arrived to do a little window shopping.
Mm-hmm.
So Gary sneaks over to Helene's place, and Taj gets out to bust him. And the creep
is this when Gary, he gets in the car and he's like, here, have some soup.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got a little thermos of soup. So the creep sneaks up the back steps, and inside we find Helene in bed with Anne, just kissing her.
Oh, I hate this.
And
I hate this so
feeling
much.
her up while Gary watches them from the window.
And she says, so I hated this whole fucking scene. It's the worst exploitation.
Oh my God.
It's so gross and homophobic. But she goes, does this bother you? And it's well, first of all, the answer is probably yes. But if you have to ask that question.
The girl is lying stiff as a board on her back.
Perfectly rigid. If you ever have to be hey, you don't like this, do you? The answer is pretty much yeah.
Well, in her case, no. She just needs a little bit more coercing.
Have some wine. Oh, I hate it. It's so gross. And then she's hey, is that my office phone? Let me go down the 16 flights of stairs to get the phone. What is this house?
Oh God, I love it because also that like bottom up shot of the spiral staircase is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, she leaves Anne in bed to go answer the phone. Now, Helene answers, but turns as the door closes. She's afraid to see whoever is hiding behind the door.
Like the sweet, beautiful waitress from days of yore, this unscrupulous lesbian Dean has already sealed her fate. Oh, hey, at this point, does anybody want to guess who the killer is?
Well, a part of the problem
anybody want to take a shot in the dark?
Just like up top when I named, like, I could, like, usually we do three actors in the cast, and I could only really find two noteworthy. The cast in this movie is tiny, so it's pretty fucking obvious who the killer is. So,
yeah. It's not one of the two cops, and it's probably not the anthropology guy. Who's left?
Yeah. So she's afraid to see whoever's hiding behind the door. She tries to escape. We see the motorcycle killer behind her, pulling her back into the room. And then the knife stabs through the door, and we hear the killer cut her head off.
And again, I think, so there are two things happening here. I think, again, we get Mark Irwin's really good cinematography, tries to make this scene pretty scary. I suspect the lack of blood in this movie comes from two things. One is that it's written by a woman, and I think her instincts would probably, a woman who is not a screenwriter.
Yeah.
And so her instincts would not be to go for gore. I don't think anyone who's not a screenwriter or a writer of horror movies, their instinct would not be to go for gore. But also, I think they have a director who is pretty old and old, like old school in the way that he makes films. And so it probably just doesn't occur to them to make a violent movie. You just don't make violent movies.
Right. Like,
and so you have a slasher with no fucking violence.
Yeah, like this movie is very uncharacteristic for Ken Hughes. And on top of that, he was like nearly 70 when he made this movie. So like, yeah, it just wasn't really in his wheelhouse. Like I guarantee like at a certain point, like Avergon being the producer was like, okay, we gotta have a little bit of blood because these movies, like the draw is the violence.
My guess would be that it was probably the other guy, the other producer was like, can we maybe just up it a little bit? Like we got to sell this on something. And it is interesting when you watch these movies made by these kind of older guys, these stalwart film guys who make this shit later in their career because it's probably the best they can get. And they end up making a movie that sometimes it works. Like sometimes, like I think this is I like this movie quite a lot.
It's a perfectly functional movie. Yeah, like I like it a lot.
Do I think it would have benefited from gore? Maybe, but I don't. Not really.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. So yeah, upstairs, Anne wakes in bed to hear the water running in the bathroom. There's also a trail of blood, and from the bedroom she can see the bloody toilet. She lifts the lid, finding Helene's severed head in the toilet, making that 2 heads in 1 month and 3 overall for this podcast.
Okay, because I was going to say, is this 3 or 4?
This is 3. Because the very first one was in House on Sorority Row. The last one was in Curtains, which we just did. And then this one.
I guess we're going to have to figure out how to fit street trash in here somewhere.
The killer sneaks up behind her and hacks her head off too.
And this is where the movie, they're just like, oh shit, we got to wrap this up.
I know. So Judd runs up on the place and kicks his way through the door. And we get a sweet top-down shot of the spiral stairs. So he finds the dead bodies and is tackled by the killer, who comes flying out of the darkness, knocks him down, and runs out into the streets. Taj could have intercepted him, but he was too busy arresting Gary the perv. And then the rider rides away suddenly while all the cops are literally blundering in the dark.
And here is, I think, where this area of Boston really serves the film, because it's a very, very small neighborhood. And again, if you've never been to Boston, it's not, most people would be accustomed to a city that is built on a grid. Boston is not built on a grid. It's not built on fucking anything. It's just a nightmare of swirly roads that go nowhere. And so you have this neighborhood that's very, very small, densely packed, and the roads are just kind of they weave in and out of each other. They're like 2 ways, but they barely are enough for 1 car.
Yeah.
And so that's
and
where
cobblestone too.
Yeah, and this really, it serves it in this way that it all feels a little claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes this kind of ending a little cooler than maybe it otherwise would have been.
Right. So the killer rides back to Millet's place and lets themselves in. Removing the helmet, we find that the killer isn't Millet, but Eleanor.
Gasp.
I know. He comes walking along and she produces the knife and confesses to killing all the women. She did it for them, for their love and for their baby. She had to kill all those women that he lusted after to purify their love.
That's right. Ladies be shopping, ladies be honor killing. And
is,
after all that murder, she's still the dutiful wife. She's like, hey, what can I make you for dinner?
Yeah. Yeah. He is understandably horrified. She lovingly tells him to just take a load off, guy, and she'll make him something to eat. And then
Hey, guy.
Come on, guy. And then he confronts her. You must be insane. Insane? For performing a ritual that has been accepted in other cultures for thousands of years? It's this world that's insane. And if he insists on having more affairs, well, she's just going to have to kill them too.
That's right. She says, if you insist on having affairs with other women, I'm going to have to kill them too. And I wrote, fair. That's fair.
The cops ride up on Millet's place. She tells him that if they come in to get her, they're going to kill her and the baby. And so he stops her from charging out there with that knife. So now the killer rides out into the streets in the black clothes and the helmet. Judd and the cops chase after him. Taj keeps...
And the guy is still, the guy from before who works in the restaurant, he's still in the police car. And at one point he says, they're like driving really fast. And he goes, I hate to trouble you. I got to go bathroom.
These two, I tell you. So it's a high-speed chase through the winding, narrow streets of Old Boston. It looks like they have the rider cornered, but they charge at the cops, who are shooting at the approaching rider. And then they leap out of the way. The rider rides through, crashing into the police cars. Their body flies over and crashes into more cars. They take off the helmet, and it's Millet, dead from the impact.
Gasp number 2.
I know, twist and twist, twists upon twists. Taj is satisfied that the case is closed. They got their man. Judd, he isn't so sure. And this ending, it kept bugging me because it reminded me of another movie, and then it suddenly dawned on me. Have you ever seen Edge of the Axe?
Yes.
It has an ending. It has
Jose Larraz movie?
Jose Larraz, yeah. It has an ending very similar to this one, where they're like, we got our guy, but it wasn't him, it was the girl.
Yep.
Sorry, folks.
Just ruined 2 movies.
Edge of the Axe isn't very good.
It's not very good. You're better off without it.
At the funeral, we see them lowering Millet's coffin into the ground as the priest does all that funeral shit. Eleanor suddenly leaves, the only person at the funeral. She finds Judd parked away down from the road at the graveside. He asks her if the ceremony is over, and she tearfully tells him yes and leaves.
That's where you end your fucking movie. You end it right there.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Not this movie.
And I'm sure someone stepped in and they were like, oh, no, you got to add something. And they were like, no, that's the end of the movie. That's good. We should just leave it there. That's a good way to end the movie.
Oh, no. Not in Night School. Back at the station, Judd looks over all the paperwork on the case and files it away. Grabs his coat and leaves, heading for his car in the parking garage. Looking defeated, he starts the car. But the killer in the helmet pops, because you gotta have the
Friday the 13th.
scare.
Fucking Friday the 13th.
You gotta have the final scare. The killer in the helmet pops up in the seats behind him. They struggle, and then the killer flips the visor up, revealing it to be Taj.
Waka waka.
Oh, you. Fade out on Taj's cackling laughter. Roll credits.
Hey, listen, everybody. Thanks for indulging me with this one. This movie is dumb as hell, and I love it.
It's fun. It's definitely a fun movie. It is.
It's sloppy, and it just kind of bangs along, in spite of itself.
Yeah. Also, I do gotta knock off some points. It feels way longer than it is. This movie is not quite 90 minutes, and there were times when I was like, "Is this still on?"
And then you get to the end and they're like, oh, Jesus, pedal to the metal, everybody. Let's get this shit over.
Right. Yeah. It's fun. It very much just kind of is what it is. It's another just sort of curiosity from the golden age of the slasher. We could have done a lot worse. And also,
my favorite.
It takes place in a city very familiar to us. So, boy. So, all right. Night School. All done. What's next?
Well, as you'd said, 99-cent rental coming back next week. George Romero's Suitor vampire drama thriller, I guess. Martin.
I like
Martin.
Martin.
I like that movie. I got the big fancy version from Second Sight.
Ooh.
Pretty into that. Can't wait to talk about that movie. And then, in 2 weeks, this very show will be back. And what are we doing? We're breaking out our corn rigs and our barley rigs to celebrate May Day. with my man, the Wicker Man.
Yeah. Set something on fire and jump through it naked.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, all right, cool. Yeah. We'll be back next week with Martin. And then we're going to get real crazy with Christopher Lee in The Wicker Man.